You are going to die a renter, and we're going to help you prevent that. Welcome back to Won't You Be My Neighbor? I'm Brandon from Vegas. As always, we are here with my co-host, Mr. Bill Gaylord.
You got it right, guys.
We finally got it right.
Look at
It's
that.
the new studio.
It's the new studio.
The new studio.
We're ready.
We did it.
As always, we are here with our prettiest co-host, Alexandra, a.k.a. Don't Call Her Alex.
There we go. That's right. Oh, sorry, Bill. Forgot about you.
Leaving me hanging up.
Yeah,
there.
I was.
You are going to die a renter. Most of you watching this, either on YouTube, listening on Spotify or Apple, you are going to die a renter. Your children will die a renter. Your grandchildren will die a renter. This is not hyperbole. This is not exaggeration. We already have a percentage. Over half of Americans are no longer dreaming about home ownership. We have reached a point where over 50% of Americans don't want home ownership, and the numbers are only getting worse, right? So I brought Bill on today with over 150 years of real estate lending experience. I know he looks great for his age.
Now I'm in 4K.
And now,
I need like 2K.
You know? Like 2K, right? We brought people in who have done lending to explain to you guys the dire fear and the dire necessity of owning a home, right? So, Bill, let's start with statistics, right? Because we want to engage people emotionally, but we also want to give them statistics. Why do you believe so many people believe renting is a better option than buying?
Personally, I think a lot of it is just fear. I think it's just they don't know enough about buying a home to understand what they can do, how they can get into it. I think it's just complete fear, and they're afraid to really jump in and find out what they don't know right now.
Alexandra, what are your thoughts? Why do you
Well,
think we have so many?
I have a couple questions on this statistic. Do we have a socioeconomic status on it?
No, I don't want to get in trouble by breaking it down by a socioeconomic status.
Okay.
On later episodes, we will do one based on that, right?
Okay.
But for today, I just wanted to keep
Just
it as
get it
general
general.
as possible. Yeah.
Do we have an education level on it?
On the renting versus buying, again, that would tie into the socioeconomic status of it, where obviously people with degrees own more homes than people without them, but that ties into a lot of other things.
Okay, so those are a couple questions I had. I think the reason why people are renting and not buying is they've lost the American dream. I feel like generations before, it was you buy your house, you pay it off, you stay there, find some dirt, build a home, whatever it is. And I think that as we probably started moving away from the Industrial Revolution, things like that, it's made it harder or just less. The idea of home ownership maybe has dwindled down, especially for millennials.
Well, there's that. And during the Industrial Revolution, we had far fewer people. America is pushing nearly 400 million residents, and that's legal, right? That's people who have, again, not trying to get in trouble, but we all know we have more than that unaccounted for, right? And the problem is, I think we have reached a crisis level of just how many homes are needed to house as many people. There was this idea, again, during the Industrial Revolution, that America's wealth and land was infinite, and we have quickly found out in 2024 that is not the case. People say, well, Brandon, what about Missouri? There's so much cheap land in Ohio and Minnesota, and there's not Minnesota, but North Dakota, South Dakota. And I ask people the same question. Do you want to live there? Why don't you live in North Dakota and South Dakota right now? Oh, because you want to live by the beach? Oh, because you want to live where there's tech, where there's good nightclubs, where there's a bunch of places to eat, tons of options for dating and marriage. Yeah, well, so does everyone else, right?
Right.
Which is why we see such a crowding of people in New York, LA,
San Francisco, Chicago.
Right? We have all this open land where you can get cheap housing, but people would rather live in a crowded...
Where the hustle and bustle is.
Where the hustle and bustle is.
So renting is a choice. Is that what you're saying?
So renting...
It's a choice where you live, and that's why you're not going to be a homeowner.
Yes, we talk about this all the time, but renting is like, or real estate's like dating. We have choices, right? There's plenty of single people out there, but we want to date a certain group of people. There's plenty of places to live, but we choose to rent in the same areas. People who complain about rent in California could move to, I don't know, let's just throw San
Las Vegas?
Well, no, but people who complain about rent in Las Vegas could move to San Antonio, Texas with cheaper rent. They can move to Des Moines, Iowa with cheaper rent. Why don't they? right? It's
Right.
because their choice is to keep renting.
They want to stay where they're comfortable.
100%. So I want to read a few renting statistics for you guys, right? Because real estate is an emotional thing, but the statistics behind it. So Bill has provided us a great article from Forbes, and I'm just going to read you guys a few of my favorite statistics, right? 34% of occupied units in America, 45 million, are occupied by renters. That's crazy, okay? A majority of renters, 54%, say that they would rather live in an apartment than a home. So not choose to, not forced to, they would rather, even if they had the money, would rather live in an apartment
That's a
than a
little
home.
scary.
That's scary,
That's
right?
interesting.
They don't even want it. And we're going to get on this later, but it's because I 100% believe they don't want the responsibility and accountability of owning a home. Because this isn't saying, hey, if we could afford it, we'd want a home. No, this is saying, even if you had the money, would you rather have an apartment or a house? And most people are choosing an apartment. That shows a lack of accountability and work that they're looking to put in, right? 43% of renters, 43%, say they are paying 35% or more of their income on rent.
That just made Bill cringe.
Oh, that's tough.
Bill, as someone who works with finances and looks at people's numbers and income every day, why is it bad that 1/3 of Americans are spending 43% of Americans are spending 1/3 of their income on rent?
It's too much. I mean, you have so many other living expenses. You also have the taxes. You've got inflation that's going up. It's just like, it's tough to live off of that.
Yeah.
The standard, like back in the day, the standard like qualifying ratios was about 28%. They would call it 28, 38. 28% of your income should go to housing. 25% would be preferable. And 38% all debt, house, cars, credit cards, all that kind of stuff. And 35%, man, you're on just the house. What are you going to do for transportation, food, all that stuff? It's just tough.
Your Uber Eats, what are you going to do for that?
Right?
Uber
Why
Eats.
is it bad? Now, I have an idea, but people want to hear from an expert, right? They want to hear from someone who actually works with the numbers and not just the houses. Why is it worse if someone's spending 33% of their income on rent versus saying 1/3 of their income is going towards their mortgage or the house that they own?
Well, because you're basically, when you have a mortgage, you have forced savings where you're paying down that mortgage and you're investing in yourself.
Yeah.
You're basically saving money by owning a home. You're paying off that mortgage, number one. But the other bigger factor is that home is going to go up in value. And it's like real estate over the last, 82 years has done nothing but go up almost every single year.
Yeah, real estate has a better record than the 2017 Golden State Warriors. That's a fact. Like, that's a fact. The most winning basketball team of all
That's a
time
good point.
has a worse record than real estate, right?
Yeah.
That's one of my favorite ways I like to put it for like millennials, right?
I didn't even think about that.
Right?
That's a good one.
One of the things I like to explain, Alexandra, don't call her Alex. One of the things I like to explain to somebody with the renting versus mortgage thing, and you mentioned Uber Eats, okay? Imagine someone was spending 1/3 of their budget eating out on Uber Eats every month, which some people are, which is scary.
I know some people. Yeah.
I know some people, right? Now imagine the same person spending 1/3 of their income investing in Uber Eats' stock,
Huge difference.
right? So imagine 1/3 of your income investing into the stock for Uber every month versus the person who's Uber eating 1/3 of their income every month. Who do you think is going to end up with more money after 5 years, right?
Right.
And I think that's the easiest way to understand the rent versus mortgage concept, where
Love this.
if 1/3 of my money is going to a mortgage, that's still high, but at least I'm gaining equity, right? And the reason people keep buying houses is because equity keeps going up 5%, 6%. In Las Vegas, we recently hit 6.7%
That's
equity.
unbelievable.
In San Francisco and LA, they're reaching 9 to 10% equity on $1 million houses. This is crazy numbers, right? The person who's renting and spending 1/3 of their income on a rent, where's that money going, Alexandra?
It's going right into their landlord's pocket, and their landlord is laughing all the way to the bank.
Yeah,
They're like, keep it coming. I want a renter all day long.
100%.
You're paying my investments. It's a free investment for me. You're paying it.
100%. If you're a landlord and the renter is not only paying your $1,800 mortgage, but paying an additional $400 on top of that.
Yeah.
Most renters are like, well, at least I'm saving money not having to do repairs, or at least I'm saving money on not having to do property taxes. And this is because it's a lack of education. They don't realize that their property tax is factored into the mortgage. They don't realize the landlord has factored the home warranty for repairs into your
Right.
rent, right?
Right.
Your rent money is already covering all
You're
of that.
losing money.
Yeah. And one of my favorite things to tell renters is, why do you think your landlord owns the house instead of renting it? To make money. Okay. Then where's he
Why?
making money from? Off of you. You think your landlord is paying taxes, HOA, all this,
You are.
right? You're paying for
And
this,
more.
right? If your landlord was
You're paying a premium.
you're paying a premium. If your landlord was paying for all this, how could he make money? And it clicks in renter's head when I talk to him like that. If your landlord was paying for all these things, how could he possibly make money? He can't, which means you're paying for it, right? One more statistic, Bill. I'm sorry, you had
No, I was just going to say, interesting. I had a conversation with a client, mentioned this the other day, where they were like, Bill, but what if I lose my job? What happens? I bought this home, I lose my
what
job.
ifs.
What am I going to happen? How am I going to pay my mortgage? I'm going to go into debt, all that kind of stuff. And you actually have more options by owning your home than by renting.
Yeah.
If you rent and you stop paying your rent, well, your collection is
You're
going to
gone.
be like,
You're out.
You're going to be like, bye.
gotta be out by
You
the
have
end of the
no
month.
home,
You're out.
right? Number
Yeah.
one. Number two, you're going to get hit on credit, right? They're going to do that. But if you own your home, what can you do with that home if you lose your job? You could actually go and rent that house to somebody else who can actually make that payment
You could rent a
for
couple
you.
bedrooms.
You could do house hacking, renting the bedrooms. You could potentially sell it if it's gone up in value
Yeah.
over a period of time. You have way more options as a homeowner to get out of it than you do as a renter.
100%. People don't know these things, though. They think the mortgage and the rent is the same thing. And one of the major reasons that I tell people that they're going to die a renter is simply this, okay? We see how quickly inflation is decreasing the value of the dollar. And we all know that rent increases at 3% per year, okay? Well, if your dollar keeps becoming worth less money and the cost of rent keeps going up, how is it possible that you're ever going to escape renting? I mean, just think about this logically. When I tell people they're going to die a renter, they get upset. They
Right.
push back. And I say, okay, logically, tell me how you're going to prove me wrong. Your dollar is worth less every day. Your rent is more expensive every year. At what point do you think you're going to escape this, right? You think you have forever. But by 2030, they've already announced you're going to rent everything in your life and be happy.
Yeah.
Right?
Right. You made a comment earlier on saying, your parents are renters, you're a renter, your children are going to be renters. And I think that goes to being a mom and a parent. Your child copies every little thing that you do.
Yep.
And it really, this is an opportunity for you to get your ducks in a row and say, all right, I got to do this for myself, for my future children, or whatever, wherever you're at. To hear that if your parents are renters, you're going to do what your parents did, right? If your parents are smokers, you probably are going to be a smoker, right? Or if your parents, whatever I'm trying to say, whatever habits, if your parents didn't go to college, you're probably not going to go to college. So make this your opportunity to say, I'm going to break that and I am going to do something different for my future generation.
The thing that I love about you, Brandon, is I get a lot of calls from your clients, and they basically say, I called because Brandon got in my head and I need to make some decisions on my future.
Yeah.
And you make people call. And that's the scariest part, is making that call to really get that education to understand. Maybe it's not so scary. Maybe you can't buy right now, but here's the plan. Here's the game plan going forward. And the people that actually want to do it are doing it.
Yeah. I want to piggyback off what Alexandra said. It's a true story. And I like to use my own shortcomings and my own personal shortcomings as a better example. I think that's the best way people learn. You learn from your parents, right? I'm now in a position where I can go back and see where the house that me and my family rented for 4 years, I can go back and see what it sold for. I know how much it cost, right? The house, now remember, this is Las Vegas back in the 90s. The house we were living in sold for $140,000, which means the down payment on that house was legitimately nothing. You could have probably gotten it for $6,000 down payment at the time, right? My parents both had jobs. My mother had 2 to 3 jobs, right? She was making over 6 figures, which means if my parents had any real estate information,
Understood.
if they had any real estate information, we could have bought in that house easily, kept it in the family, passed it from my siblings, right? We could have grown from it. But because of their lack of education, they just kept renting it.
Right, and they feel that they're doing the right thing for their family. We're keeping a roof over our children's head. Yeah, what's the difference?
100%. And so it sent me on a spiral where I'm like, oh, renting your whole life is normal. It wasn't until I got older, got into real estate, and I was like, wait a minute. This whole renting thing is a trap, right? I have I work with investors. I have investors who are legitimately quitting working. They now own so many properties, making them $300 a month, $500 a month, $600 a month, that they don't have to work.
My uncle is one of those people.
Yeah, they have it's called mailbox money.
Yeah.
For those of you who are watching this, investors or rent, they have what's called mailbox money, where your rent check hits, all of their rentals hit on the same day. So they wake up and all of a sudden there's $15,000 in their account in the mailbox that they didn't have to do anything for, right? And I said, oh my God, I've been getting ripped off my whole life. But it wasn't until I saw it. You're right.
Right.
It wasn't until I saw it that it changed my perspective.
And here's something else to think that you brought up on that is there are people that are serial investors. This is their job. This is their business. They understand how to get ahead of it. So you are competing with people who are investors. I know when I sold new homes, we would not sell to investors. This has to be an owner-occupied residence or second home. This is not investment property. So remember that you are competing with people that are coming in with big bucks, whether they're American citizens or not American citizens.
Yeah.
People are coming in, and you need to take advantage. You need to own dirt.
Hey, we have a question.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we have JMX25 says, Bill, how many months in advance should I reach out to you if aiming to purchase a home in December or January? Paid down my debt by 67% over the past 2 years, but minimum debt payments are still 32% of my net.
You honestly, right now, there's never a better time than right now. And part of it is some people actually go, like I talked to somebody the other day, oh, I'm going to wait. I'm going to pay another $4,000 towards my debt. It's like, you don't need to pay that debt down. There's 3 things that you need: credit, income, assets. And a lot of people lack the assets, which is a fancy word for money. And you actually need more money for basically down payment and closing costs. So sometimes paying off debt can actually hurt you.
Yep.
So really just getting a game plan together, understanding what it is right now. Call me, 858-776-6830. And we'll get it set.
Oh, okay.
set
Yeah.
up. So
Alexandra.
Yeah.
Don't call her Alex.
Do not call me Alex.
Earlier, you asked about the demographics of renting, right? I didn't want to deliver it then
Okay.
because I wanted to understand to people why we're telling them they're going to rent until they die. But here are some important demographics for people to understand. And the most important one is this. Renting a home it used to be when you moved out of your parents' house, you rented a home for like a year until you and your wife got married, and then you moved into a place together, right? That is no longer the case. A majority of American renters are between the ages of 35 and 44 years old.
That shocks me.
A majority of renters, are not teenagers, not 20-year-olds out of college, grown-ass adults in their 30s and 40s who still don't own anything.
So let's break this down. So the 20-year-olds, the teenagers, they're living with their mom and dad. They're in the Gen X or the basement or whatever. So they're not moving out.
Yeah.
Okay. So then they finally are going to move out because now we have to because we're getting married. We're 35. Like, we got to do something, right? Okay. So now basically everything's been delayed. It's been pushed back, and there's no urgency to buy a home. There's no urgent. Yeah. You mentioned a couple podcasts ago, get married, because 2 incomes together are much easier to buy a home than a single income.
It's Peter Pan syndrome. People are being pushed further back, and you're seeing it with real estate.
Interesting.
But there's a huge problem with having Peter Pan syndrome in real estate. is that the prices keep
Going
up
up.
as you're delaying,
Yeah.
right? There's no inevitability to that. And the issue now is we have a pretty liberal, and by liberal, I mean have a pretty favorable immigration system. Well, guess what a majority of immigrants who come to this country do? They rent. So we've now reached a place where renters have more competition for rental properties than buyers have competition for buying the home.
Unbelievable.
It's actually, I used to do property management. This is a true story. I once had a property manager tell me they needed a higher credit score, 680, to rent the property than I needed it to buy it at 640. They needed a higher credit score and more finances to rent the property than to buy it.
And they look at that credit score because they don't want to have to re-rent the property.
They don't want
They
to
want to make
default.
sure that that property is going to be rented. So credit becomes absolutely critical.
It's interesting when you drive through Las Vegas. My son and I go skiing on Tuesdays. Not right now, obviously, but we drive through, and all of the sticks going up. They're apartments, apartments, townhomes, apartments. Of course, there are some new single-family homes going out there, especially as you get closer to Mount Charleston. But when you're in a little more of the city limits, it's all apartments.
Yes. And more people keep moving to cities. Like, look at Las Vegas. There's no more room to build houses. We're going to have to move to Pahrump. What are they building across the city? Gigantic luxury apartment complexes, because we're running out of land. They have to build up and up. Vegas is going to become a skyscraper city. You're going to have to build up and up and up. There's nowhere to build outwards. Okay. Let me drop a few more statistics on you guys before we finish with a nice little soliloquy for them. Okay. The average monthly nationwide rent is $2,000. That is up $300 in the past 4 years. $300 in the past 4 years.
It was 17, is what you're saying.
It was 16 to 1700. Now it's 2,000. The average raise in rent is 3%, but as you guys can see, that the average does not always need to apply, right? Because your rent has probably raised more than 3% in the past year if you live in Vegas, right? 90% of U.S. renters report paying monthly utilities separate from their rent. So not only is the cost of your rent rising, so is the cost of your utilities. All these people who think, oh, I'm going to save money by renting. I'm not going to pay water, sewer. Yes, you are.
You're still paying it. Your
You're still
landlord's
paying it.
just yeah.
Your landlord's just making money off of it.
It's not, you don't see it on the itemized receipt.
100%.
That's true.
The average monthly cost for renter's insurance is now $25. The vast majority of renters, 91%, so that is as close to 100 as you can get, right? Have to pay a security deposit that is also increasing on a yearly basis. So before, your security deposit was like, oh, I need the first month's rent. Now it's like, I need the first 2 months' rent plus 3 times the income and first, last, all this stuff. So guess what a security deposit is? It's an EMD. You're paying an earnest money deposit, right? You're already doing all the same things, right? And then the most important thing is the average cost of rent in the places people want to live. Hawaii, monthly rent, $2,300. California, $1,900. Washington, D.C., $1,900. San Francisco, the average cost of rent,
I'm curious.
$2,500. Oh, my God.
Wow.
$2,500
Is the average.
So-
and
the average.
that's not, I'm going to, because I rented in San Diego, gosh, let's just say 2010. And my rent, I had a studio and my rent was $1,000. Right. And so looking back, like I paid a lot and I didn't have a great unit.
It was
It was a 1920s unit. You know, I didn't have a washer dryer. I didn't have a garbage disposal. I didn't have any of that.
So Brandon, how do people not die a renter?
That's funny, Bill. I was literally just going to ask you that question, but I will lead and then I'm going to throw it to you because you actually have the more vital information here. You really do. If you don't want to die a renter, and take this as from someone who was homeless 8 years ago and ironically homeless now because I'm living out of my car again.
Well, that's
chosen.
I'm waiting on my home. My home's being built. Yeah, my home's being built, right?
Amazing.
Take it as someone who was homeless 8 years ago, right? The first step, and people always want it to be a magic. People want the Ozempic of real estate. That's what they want, a magic drug. The first step to not dying a renter is to make home ownership a legitimate goal. You have to sacrifice. A lot of people hate that word. They hate the word sacrifice, but you have to sacrifice. Your current life, your current spending habits, your current behaviors are based around you being a renter. The way you spend money on food, the way you spend money. I had a woman call me the other day talking about she wants to buy a home. I said, okay, what do you do? She goes, oh, I work for Uber. I said, okay. I said, well, what are you going to be, can you come into the office and talk to me? She goes, oh, I'm traveling to Italy for the next few weeks. Wait, what? You work for Uber, you rent, and you're currently traveling to Italy for a few weeks? Sweetheart, you're never going to own a home. You have renting habits, not home ownership habits, right? Mm-hmm. If you want to own a home, the number one most important thing you can do is change your behaviors and habits. You currently have renting habits, and you need to start having homeowner habits. Bill, I'm going to ask the same question to you. From the financial side, what can someone do to not die a renter?
It's really simple. It's become educated on where you're at right now and where you want to be. And a lot of it is mindset. And you have to make those tough choices where you're going to have to make those changes, whether it's, investing in yourself to improve your credit. If you've got a low credit score, invest in yourself to get that credit score over 700. Make sure, because you'll save tens of thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of dollars. The lower your credit, the higher your interest rate on everything, on car loans, on credit cards, on rent, on insurance. Everything that you pay is very much FICO based or credit score based. So get that up. And then make the choices in regards to instead of Uber Eats. My daughter's addicted to Uber Eats.
That's because your daughter has you.
She's in the Navy, and I keep looking at her account. I go, Grace, where's all your money? So, but she's coming back, and we're gonna have her. Actually, I'd like to have her on here, but we're gonna go through her budget. So get that done. Make sure you get that, and then there's three things. Income's the other thing, and if you're stuck in a job that you don't think you can make much more income, then find a way to figure out how to make more income. And that could be education. It could be a different opportunity. So it's just trying to drive yourself forward. But some people are super happy where they're at.
If you are happy renting, ignore everything we're saying.
Correct.
If you
stay there.
I'm guessing if you made it 30 minutes into this podcast, you don't care if you die a renter, right? And if you're honestly, I mean this sincerely. I'm not being sarcastic. I'm not being condescending. I tell people on TikTok Live every day, if you are okay with dying a renter, I'm okay with taking your money. Straight up. I want to help people not take your money. But if you are comfortable being comfortable, I am comfortable taking your money. That's the way the world works, right? Alexandra.
I want to add a couple things to what both you said is if you have that feeling in your stomach where you're like, oh, I really want to be a buyer. I really want to own a home. And then you go, oh, but I don't know how. Or, oh, it really frustrates me. Or I'm not happy with where I'm at. That's great. And go with that. If for some reason you're still in the same spot, say a year from now, 24 months from now, you need to reevaluate and realize there's something there that you're okay with. You're okay with being a renter. You're okay with that. You're okay with either your income being at the same spot. You're okay with your spending habits being at the same spot. And if you're like, but no, Alexandra, Brandon, Bill, logically I'm not, then that's your opportunity to do some self-work and figure out where that's coming from. Because maybe it's generational. Maybe it's from your parent. Like, well, maybe my parents will make me feel funny because now I'm a homeowner, and maybe I won't fit in with my family anymore. Or maybe I won't fit in with my friends anymore. Maybe they'll be like, dude, I can't hang out with you. You own a home now.
Sure. I'm sorry, Bill.
Yeah, I'm going to go on my little tangent.
Oh, you're on
here.
a rant.
I'm on a rant right now.
Get it.
So as males, many times males are into this DIY, do it yourself. I don't need any help. I can figure it out. I'm going to look in this. I'm going to do this. I'm going to read this. But Brandon, the resources that people have available to them with you, with myself, I got 40 plus years.
Not 150.
Not quite. I'm getting there. I hope to be 150. Not really. But it's like I love to really advise and help people get to where they want to be. And it's free. I don't really care. I don't need anything. I'm ready to help people understand where they need to be. And to me, gosh, just get that knowledge. Don't be afraid to talk to people like Brandon, to talk to people like Alexander, myself, to just reach out for that help.
100%. I have been teaching a free class on social media, on TikTok, on Instagram for 4 years for free. Never charge people one dime. Bill, if you call him, his number is on every screen in this building. He will help you for free. We have dozens of episodes of this podcast that you can listen to while you're driving around. You can watch them at YouTube late at night. Instead of watching ninjas stream video games, instead of watching another reality show, you can turn on YouTube.
Bizarre Junkies.
Now, if you're watching Bizarre Junkies, that's okay.
That's okay.
But instead of going to bed listening to just more TikTok videos, doom scrolling on TikTok, where you just scroll and scroll and scroll, instead of getting involved in that, we're here to teach you guys for free at no cost. I will help you for free. If you're buying a house from me, guess what? You're buying it from me for free, right? The seller pays the commission on that side. All of this is free. You just have to give a crap. You just have to give a crap. And I know only 10% of the people watching this genuinely will give a crap. But for you 10%, please contact Bill. It's free. Please fill out the real estate form in the description below on YouTube. It's free. We will help you for free. There is no catch. If you genuinely do not want to die a renter, we genuinely want to help you achieve that goal. So, Bill, as always, thank you for your valuable time, brother. New studio, new high five. Alexandra, don't dare call her Alex.
Don't call me Alex. There we go.
Can I mention one more thing?
Yeah.
Aren't you having a live class?
We are doing a first-time home buyers class. The first one is going to be for African Americans only. And the reason is pretty simple. I have every statistic on renters in front of me, and Black people in America are the longest, rent for the longest periods of time, own the fewest homes in America, have been renting for generational renters. When we talk about people dying renters, Black people have been dying renters for decades. So the first one is going to be strictly for African American buyers. But we will start opening it up to everybody. We'll do them on Zoom. We'll have replays that we put live on YouTube so people can, again, watch it for free. We're going to give people more and more for free. They just have to give a crap. That's it, right? Bill, let them know where they can find you, even though it's on every screen in this podcast studio.
I didn't know I was so, I got to go point this way. Anyways, BillGaylord.com, 858-776-6830. You can schedule an appointment at BillGaylord.com, free, anywhere.
100%. I'm Brandon from Vegas. You can quite literally find me anywhere on the internet. If you just type Brandon from Vegas into your Google, all my stuff will pop up. You can watch some food videos, but I am reachable. If you message me on Instagram, I will help you. If you message me on TikTok, I will help you. If you fill out the real estate contact form and text me, I will help you. I don't care if you're ready today, 6 months from now, or a year from now, I will help you. You have my word. If I see that you care, I promise you I will care twice as much. All right? Everybody, thank you guys. First episode in the new studio. I'm super pumped. We got another question?
No, Chili Willy in the chat says that Bill, he's been listening to Bill's guidance and he moves into his house next week.
Hey!
Oh, look at that.
Chili.
Chili Willy.
Let's go, brother. Hey, big shout out to Chili Willy, brother. We are so happy for you, man. Can we put Chili Willy's name on the screen? Can we, or am I asking for some crazy? I don't know how podcasts work. You guys know me. I'm a caveman in this digital world, man. But Chili Willy, man, we're super happy for you.
That's awesome.
Hey, Chili Willy, no cap. Chili Willy, if you fill out my real estate form and text me directly, Chili Willy, I have a closing gift for you of $250. Man of my word, Chili Willy. If you go to my real estate form in my bio and my number's in there, Chili Willy, if you text me today, I have a closing gift of $250 for you. You take your family to dinner or buy yourself something nice and celebrate, man. We're all super pumped for you, all right? Congratulations, brother. Hey, guys, I'm Brandon from Vegas. This is Bill. This is Alexandra. And as always, won't you be my neighbor? Peace.
Bye.
I love the new studio. Let's go.